Hi there, we are doing a special show with my friend Tom. He was featured on our 6 over 60 series, and check that out. It's called 6 over 60, people living a great life at a great age. And we got to talking about dementia, and we thought let's do a separate show on this to broaden awareness on caregiving for people with dementia, because I have a history of that also in my life.
And thank you for sharing that part of your story with me, you know, because it is part of, for those of you out there who've got grandparents and uncles and aunts, I'm sure there isn't a family in our greater area that hasn't had personal experiences with cognitive losses of whatever age, whether it's moms or dads or even younger than that. Yeah. And you struggled with your dad, if I remember the story.
Well, like we talk about, when you have a baby, there's books and there's everything, but there isn't at least you come into it, and it's different for everybody how people are going to age, and so you don't really know. And so to have more information out there, more sharing, to be open about it, like what you said, can be helpful, because it is hard. You lose people, and
the really important thing of putting dementia, Alzheimer's, or let's just cognitive losses, you got to be careful. A lot of people are not conscious enough that they stigmatize a husband or a wife or an uncle or an aunt, and they think that something's wrong with them, that they've done something. And I think one of the reasons that you and I have talked, or the important thing of getting a message out there, for these people, is don't stigmatize somebody you love and apologize for the fact that they're having cognitive losses.
Oh, I love that. Yeah. With my dad, I remember at first I wanted to prep people. Okay, remember, my dad's losing some of his cognitive health, and I wanted to give excuses. And then my sister and I'd be like, you know what, let's just let it go. And accept people where they're at. This is where my dad's at today. Enjoy that you can sing with him. He still knows who you are, but just enjoy who he is. And the other thing too is be happy. Some people would meet my dad and they'd be all sad and and they'd be like, Bob, do you remember? Bob, do you remember? Bob, do you remember? And then he would get flustered and they would be all sad and, oh, he's not the same person. I'm like, you know what? He doesn't need that, and I didn't need it. I don't need you to be all sad for my dad. This is where he's at today. We love him dearly, and I cherish every moment I can get with him where he's at today. You
know what, Erika? Print that. What a beautiful summary. And you've been through that, and I'm just opening the early doors. Wife Debbie, we've been together 50 years. She ran her own business, independent, salesperson, had her own showroom at the Gift Mart, and now, I'm a full-time caregiver. And the struggle, while you gave a good summary, the one part that we do need to touch on is what a struggle it is to maintain the health of the caregivers.
Yes.
Because if the caregivers, whether you've got a spouse or a friend with cancer, or in this case we're talking about dementia, caregivers have got to take care of themselves. And if there's one thing that I want to come out of this thing that we're doing, Erika, is that there are resources out there. There's a new outfit out of St. Cloud called DCAN, D-C-A-N or C-O-N .mn.org. And they're a new organization out of St. Cloud, and they give me a counselor for 1 hour a week. And it's not to take care of Debbie and the problems with Debbie, it's to take care of me. What is my struggle every week? This is what I hear you doing, Tom. Maybe don't think about doing it like that, or you're doing a good job, continue to do that. Because the biggest struggle, you guys, with dementia is with the caregiver, because caregivers burn out. Caregivers die younger because of the pressure. You love somebody, caregiving is a struggle.
Yeah, and the guilt. So I have a friend right now whose mom is dying, and she is spent. She cries a lot. She's exhausted. She's, work is, being put on the back burner, which is a risk for her. And it is hard to remember, because you feel these people gave you so much. Our parents give us so much as kids, and you just want to be there and it's guilt, and how can I enjoy myself, and how can I do this? I should be there 24/7, and it is hard. And I did not do that successfully. I went through therapy thousands of dollars of therapy after because I should have done more, I should have done more, I should have done more.
You got to be, and the resources are out there, Erika. So the outfit out of St. Cloud, Knutson out of Alexandria. You know, the other thing, I'm really proud of the Perm community. You know, early on we had some of our really prominent citizens, Denny Drummond, who was superintendent, you know, Bob Wachowski, you know, who was our athletic director, Jimmy Hoper, who was an accomplished attorney. And they got together and they actually announced to Perm, they had public meetings, just as all of them were entering into the first stages of cognitive losses. And they called a meeting just to sort of announce to the community, and if I mischaracterize this, I'm sorry. And they expected a few people to show up, and they filled the room because they went public. They realized that, let's be careful, let's not stigmatize, you know, our friends and neighbors and our community leaders just because they've got cognitive loss. And so out here at Grassroots, where we are right now in the background, so many of you come in and I become aware that you've got a spouse at home and they've isolated themselves, Erika. They're not telling anybody. They're apologetic for their spouse, and they just can't do that, Erika. And if there's any purpose, I appreciate this segment here. You know, don't isolate yourself. There's a lot of help out there. And all of our primary institutions need to up their game on helping the dementia community and the caregivers.
And the caregivers. What are some things that can help with caregivers? What are things people can do to help caregivers?
Well, probably the biggest thing is to try to, particularly for men, women, I don't want to stigmatize gender on this, but women have more of a skill to be patient with people around them. Men have to learn patience in helping other people. One of the biggest struggles I've had is every day upping my patience, because whatever Debbie does, it's not her fault. And to realize that they reach a certain point and you can say, please don't do that, and they're not going to remember. There is no fixing. There is no learning at a certain point with dementia. You've just got to accept where they're at, and I don't know if you did that with your dad, but learning how to tell the therapeutic lie. So if they're asking something like, did you just get back from the moonshot? You just say, yeah, I had a really good time there.
Exactly, yeah. Yeah, we went through the phases of trying to keep Dad cognitive. No, you're not on the beach in Mexico right now. No, you're at home trying to keep that. And then we learned that, you know what, meet him where he's at, where he was at in his dementia. We were then
Boy,
told,
what a great line, Erika. Meet them where they're at. That's very cool.
And so Dad would be like, oh my gosh, I just got done fishing. I'm like, tell me about it. Awesome, because man, if you're fishing, instead of sitting in your chair watching television, I want to hear about it. So it was just like, and the other thing, so one is meet them where they're at and talk to them where they're at, because if my dad's memory was really good in his high school and college days, so we loved hearing stories of college and high school. He didn't remember more modern, current things, so we spent a lot of time talking and learning about his high school days and what he did as a child and that kind of stuff. The other thing we learned on this video, which was so good, is it's like memory is like a bookshelf, and the bookshelf gets shook and some books fall out. Find the books that are on the shelf and bring those to the forefront, because Dad lost some books that were part of his life that we don't need to waste our time saying, do you remember? Because he got frustrated. He knew he couldn't remember. The other thing I wanted to share too is dignity and self-respect. Even though Dad had dementia, you know what I mean? He wanted to be clean shaved. He wanted to have nice clothes on. He wanted to have some choices, to be able to do things himself, not be babied all the time. So find things that they can do on their own that make them feel like they're still in charge of themselves.
So what's the first step? If we've got people watching this show, on your TV station, you just went through encyclopedically a whole bunch of things that people should know. How did they prepare themselves? How did they learn without having to experience it themselves, how to be a caregiver? What would you suggest how do they educate themselves? How do they teach themselves?
Right.
And my first suggestion would be, I think every community's got a support group now. And the support groups are non-judgmental. You know, and I think, you know, join, if you've got a spouse, you know, who's got the early stages or even the later stages of cognitive impairment, find your local group and join your friends and neighbors in the group, because you isolate yourself, you just can't do that. Don't do that.
Right. So that would be my first advice, is educate yourself. I love the source that you gave that we'll put on the screen for this area. But yeah, you can Google it, find either online or a in-person group that will give, or even the talk chats and that kind of stuff. But you definitely need a support group as a caretaker, and to learn about it. And then the other thing is work on yourself with, one, giving yourself some space and time to process, but also, like I said, meet the person where they're at, and try and respect as best you can some choices that they can make that are not going to harm themselves, but then give them, like, Dad, do you want to paint today, or do you want to garden with me today?
May I suggest one more piece?
Yeah.
And that is, make a huge effort to maintain family solidarity. Because as a mother or a dad gets in the early stages of Alzheimer's, different siblings have different realizations of where your mom and dad is at. Some people are in denial.
Oh, yeah.
And some people recognize it early on. And so if there's at a point that what you want to get some early counseling, and we've done this with Knutson out of Alexandria, we meet Zoom once a month with the whole family. So we're all on the same page. So there's not somebody out here saying, oh, this isn't true, your mom's okay, yeah, she's got some memory loss. And family solidarity is really important, you know, for the primary caregiver to know that everybody's behind them. So.
Right. We also had an assessment done on Dad, and Dad was okay with it, because it says here are the stages of dementia.
Oh, that's cool.
And he did an assessment so that then it's on paper. Oh, this is where Dad's at. And then it also said what next stages are. And we're like, oh my gosh, now he's at this stage. And it was just nice to see, like, oh, this isn't like out of the blue. Like, this is normal cognitive changes that other people have experienced, so you don't feel alone and like you're losing your mind. It's like, oh, this is normal cognitive decline for many people.
One of the things to be careful of also, because this is a new disease, you know, and there are no curatives, you know, and it's just got to be careful. People says, okay, do bee pollen or cranberry juice or these new Alzheimer's drugs. No matter what you hear, there is nothing out there right now that's going to be a silver bullet, a magic bullet. You know, so be really careful as you get dragged in the pharmacological world with dementia.
Yeah. So let's see, some key takeaways. Take care of yourself as a caregiver.
Find resources to help you.
Find resources to help you do that, and to understand and learn about cognitive health.
Maintain family solidarity.
Maintain family solidarity.
Up your patience game.
Up your patience game. This is good. You've got a good memory. Up your patience game. Meet your person where they're at.
Mm-hmm. Don't try to fix it. There is no fixing.
Right. Don't try and fix it.
And let's circle around the number one thing is take care of yourself.
Right. Yeah.
And thank you for your TV station to up this tape. It's really awesome that you're taking this and broadening people's knowledge of what's going on, because all of you are going to be faced with somebody in your greater family with this cognitive losses.
Yeah. Just I just loved loving my dad for where he was at, and just enjoying it every moment. You know, that I
wish it was easy. It's easy said. I mean, it's not that I don't love my wife, but boy, there are times when it's hard to live with somebody and not have a meaningful conversation.
Yes.
That's tough.
Yeah.
That's tough.
There's no doubt it's tough, and it's challenging.
Didn't mean to leave on that emotional note. Thank you, Erika. Nice job.
Yeah. Well, I have 3 years behind me with dealing with. You're fresh in it, so I've done, like I said, lots of therapy with getting over some tears and some. So I'm not in the heat of it, but it is hard, and it's hard to watch somebody you love that's disappearing, and.
Boy, you got some real summary statements, girl.
Yeah, well, it's hard, and I have a lot of friends. I'm at the age too where I have friends that have parents. Oh, I wanted to say one thing I forgot. What can you do for caregivers? things that you don't ask them what you can do, like food. Like usually a caregiver is feeding themselves and the person they're taking care of. And so bringing food for both people is awesome. I have a friend right now where they bring food just for their dad. And it's like, okay, but the daughter is at home caregiving, bring enough for 2 people or leftovers for the next couple days so they don't have to cook. Offer to take a shift watching, offer to take the person on an outing so that the caregiver, the primary caregiver, can have some space and know that their person is with somebody that loves them and is caring for them, and that they're not feeling guilty taking a moment to read, take a shower, go shopping.
You know, Erika, for being an unrehearsed interview like this, we couldn't have written the script and outlined it and touched all the major things. No, that's really important to let people help you. As a guy, you know, it's taken me a year to accept people's help.
Yep.
You know, people know about it, but no, I can take care of this. I don't need any time. So we really don't need food, and that last thing is really important.
Yep.
Let them take your spouse out to coffee or McDonald's for a burger or whatever.
And you don't go along. You say thank you, and you go sleep or take a shower or do something else and not feel guilty. So so we'll put on the screen some of those resources, and so get reach out to other people to get some support on being a caretaker and on cognitive health. And Tom, thanks for sharing your story.
Okay.
This was good. I have not talked about my dementia in my life, so this is the first time for me. So
well, you certainly did it like you've been through it a dozen times.
I have not. This is the first time talking about it. So thanks so much for tuning in.
Yeah, bye-bye.